you have to give credit where credit is due. For all the shit that Bungie takes over Destiny and for all the rightful criticism they receive on their storytelling campaign work, they actually pulled off some top-notch shit with Forsaken story. I mean, top to bottom. There's no question about that. As much as haters will want to rip up the game, as much as fanboys will love to say, oh, I told you so, the reality is Forsaken is some damn good work. It was so good, even the YouTube auditor was shocked and had to pull a dildo out of his ass to play this shit. Now, this is not a review of the whole DLC. This has nothing to do with content. This has nothing to do with changes that came to the game, because I'm going to get into that much later. I mean, after all, the game's only been out for a few fucking days. But, at the minimum, I have gotten through the campaign. I'm on my way to ranking up all my characters. And I will say, Forsaken's story is by far Bungie's best work on Destiny, even surpassing the Taken King when it comes to at least the story elements. I mean, so much so, it almost makes you believe that they didn't work on any of this shit. No, really, when Destiny does something decent, you almost have to assume it wasn't Bungie that actually did the shit. You know what I'm talking about? Now, this video itself is also not going to address the fact that it's taken 4 years and $200 to get to the point where fans are actually happy about the campaign. Again, that's another video for another day, because this is all about the campaign itself, and it will not have any spoilers that we haven't already seen in trailers or promotional material. There is no denying this is the best work we have seen so far when you look at all the facets of their DLCs. For starters, it's a well-written story. No doubt about that. I assume I'm not spoiling too much here, because the entire premise of Forsaken is to avenge Cayde's death, and all the promotional and marketing material have gone over this. We have seen this from top to bottom from the very beginning. But as we have seen from the content, yes, Cayde is killed at the very beginning by Uldren, and the rest of the campaign is our plot to hunt him down, and the Baron's responsible for his death. Now, I have to admit, whether you go to the forums, Reddit, YouTube, this was an excellent motivator for players to hunt that emo motherfucker down. I think they truly came up with a brilliant idea of killing Cayde off, because that is something that united the entire community, unquestionably. This was a great storyline motivator. Not worrying about Frozen Hive, not worrying about Oryx or Crota. You killed one of our favorite fucking characters, and you happen to be this emo, pasty-looking motherfucker. Oh, hell yeah, we're gonna go after you. You were a snide, bitchy motherfucker the first time we saw you in the game, and you killed our funniest Vanguard? Oh, yeah, that shit ain't going down in this game. That's why this motivated the community to go after that son of a bitch. Now, the dialogue in the game was also well written. Now, normally in a Destiny game, you get a cheesy line in there somewhere, or just the whole fucking thing. You get the oddly delivered lines, or you get just the bad writing that makes you fucking cringe. But here, this is all legit. Everything top to bottom. Bungie really did a good job with the scripts and the cutscenes. There's no line like, I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain bullshit. There was no overly corny Zavala line about rallying the troops around the city and the Traveler that wasn't warranted, or Ghost bot-splaining shit. You ever heard of mansplaining? Why the fuck does Ghost bot-splain every fucking thing to us that we already goddamn know? It's top-notch writing. There is no question about this. There's no voice actor that fucked up, because everything was also on point. I know people give shit to Peter Dinklage and his flat lines that he gave when Destiny launched, but the reality is that wasn't his fucking fault. They gave him a piece of paper, they probably gave him no context, they told him sound robotic, and what did he sound like? He sounded fucking robotic. So I don't want to hear no shit about Peter Dinklage's lines in Destiny 1, because that had nothing to do with him. That has to do with the direction of the voice acting. They also show that our Guardian talked for the first time in 3 fucking years, which a lot of people were like, yes, we're going to talk for the first time. Yet that one line they showed in the trailer was like the only fucking line we say in the game. Whatever. At least we talked. First time in 3 fucking years. Zavala kept all of his corny shit to himself. Although I've said this thousands of times, Lance Reddick, the actor who voices him, does an amazing job when it comes to his lines. He comes across with such a dominating voice and persona for Zavala. I can't imagine using any other actor aside from Lance Reddick in that role now, because he really does sound like a Zavala and someone you want to take directions from. Ikora delivered her shit as usual. She's always been on point. Cayde still had his jokes up to the very end. And even Petra, who would tongue Morozov's asshole without hesitation if she asked. She kept her fangirl shit in check this time around. She delivered perfectly. There's no question about that. And then on another side note, I thought it was funny hearing Nolan North and all of his many voices doing Cade this DLC. I mean, as people probably know, Nathan Fillion wasn't involved this time around doing Cade's voiceover, so Nolan North took over. You know him as the guy who took over for Peter Dinklage's Ghost. He does our Ghost as we have it now. More famously, he's done Nathan Drake in Uncharted, Deadpool and a few other Marvel games. He's also done Desmond in Assassin's Creed games, Penguin in the Batman series, along as multiple other characters in all video games. This man has one of the largest resumes when it comes to video game voice acting. He's one of the best people out there to have in your game. At times, Cade sounded like Nathan Drake. Then there were other times you heard Deadpool coming out. It was almost like it was fourth wall breaking when he used all of his different tones for the characters that we've seen in the games that he's done so far. But I thought overall, he did a fantastic job replacing Nathan Fillion as Cade. The progression of the campaign was also something that was on point. One of the biggest complaints, and I know this gets into a little bit of content, but one of the biggest complaints that we have with almost all the DLCs before this is they reuse sort of the same area over and over and over again. How many times did we start a DLC and we ran a strike backwards? How many times did we go into another strike area that we already played simply because they didn't want to make another area? We've also had missions where we've used Crucible maps to do certain objectives. I remember there was the one where we had the Taken King and we got our new powers and we used Crucible maps to do it. Then there was that one lost mission where you had to find something on that one Crucible map about the wall. Can't remember what that shit was off the top of my head, but again, they reused Crucible maps simply because there was nothing else to use. This time around, they really made sure that they didn't overlap too many of the areas. Now, granted, there's going to be some overlap. There's going to be some areas where you use some public areas. There's going to be some of the same dungeons that we go through, whether it's a Lost Sector or some of the off-quarter missions, whether you're doing the adventures to hunt down the Barons. But overall, they had a structure. We're going to go to the prison, and then when we get out of the prison, we're going to hunt these 8 motherfuckers down. The first 6 of the Barons, you can do in any order. So if you wanted to do the hardest one first, you can certainly do so. Now, obviously, he was at a higher power level, but if you had the progression, if you ranked up ahead of time, you could have gone after that motherfucker if you wanted. You could have saved the easiest to last. You could have saved the angriest to the last. You could have done the most annoying first. However you wanted to hunt down the first 6 Barons, you had the ability to do so. The final 2 Barons are obviously set because those were the 2 most important ones that they wanted to show. And then, of course, we come to the ending and the final mission. Overall, the structure was absolutely fantastic. They did everything right with this DLC. And it goes back to my original point. Did Bungie actually do this? Did they not pass this off to Naughty Dog or Rockstar or somebody? For some reason, this storyline, this campaign that they put together, absolutely excellent. Now again, this is not going to make up for all the years of which Bungie was screwing up the game and where Destiny fell short on some promises and whatnot, but overall, for those who intend on buying The Forsaken or are thinking about buying The Forsaken, I will say this: you will not be disappointed by the campaign. Is it short? It could be a little bit longer, but overall, I don't think it needed to add much more because all you would be doing is adding additional fluff. Essentially, we had to go after 8 bad guys and a 9th at the end of the game. We were given our reason to go after the bad guys when Cade dies off at the very beginning of the DLC. So when you look at the arc of the story, when you look at the progression, when you look at the writing that they did, the voice acting, this is overall the altogether package. There is no question about this. This could stand up against any pretty decent game out there. Not even just as a DLC. This is on par with quality games out there. Is it Game of the Year material? Absolutely not. There's no way in hell. The game does have its flaws. There's some flaws on the content side. But on the story side, they got this right. And you have to give Bungie credit. You have to acknowledge when they do things correctly. Although, when we get to the content, I'm going to rip them ass on a couple other things. You're going to get your ass handed to on one of these fucking things that absolutely pisses me off. But otherwise, as a story, absolutely fantastic. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.